This is the first of a three-part series produced by Poets House. It is called Summer Nights, Poetry and Music. The next one will happen right here, 7 o'clock on Friday, July 25. You'll be hearing the poetry musical stylings by Latasha and Nevada Diggs. Yes. Also, Tango Ison Martin will be rocking your world. And the musical stylings by 79.5 will be here, hosted by Urayoa Noel. And then on Friday, August 8th, at Wagner Park at 7 o'clock, you can hear MS Red Cherries, Dinesh Smith, and Speedy Ortiz, hosted by Brad Walrand. So you want to check the series out. I am Reggie Kibiko. I am your MC. Are you ready for your next incredible poet? Ariana Reines is a Scorpio. The musical styling influence is the everything Coltrane, the whole Coltrane family. In fact, I think she is the lost child of Coltrane because Coltrane lifts her up. She's from Queens in the house. From Sunnyside, formerly from Ridgewood. Her favorite dessert is melons. All melons of all types. She's never met a melon she never liked. She has her latest 2 books for sale there. You want to check it out. By the way, can we give it up for our volunteers who are at the table? Can we give a shout out to Matilda and Saeed? And also a shout out to Joey on tech. Thank you. Her 2 books came out the same year. It was like twins, Wave of Blood and The Rose. Without any further ado, please show your love for the one and only Ariana Reines. All the way to the stage. Oh, and by the way, we like each other's clothes. We might have to go shopping together.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I must admit that I was born in Salem, Massachusetts. Unfortunately. I'm just going to get situated here. I'm bad at this, so. I might almost have it. Thank you for spotting me. Okay. I'm just going to pour out some water for Fanny Howe, also for Alice Notley, and for Andrea Gibson, who also left the planet this week. Fanny was my neighbor during the pandemic, and I think she saved my life. So I'll just pour this water. And I normally like to talk a lot, but I won't today. I'm just going to read you 3 poems, and we can talk after if I'm not too emotional. Absolute zero. To have seen what I saw only yesterday, you would beg for God, as my heart did, though it knew better, kneeling and folded in on itself. Circumcised eye, mouth hemming a tonsure, I saw a crimson hole in the delicate skull of a baby going gray in the arms of her rescuer, who prayed over her to himself. I would see God, not this world we made in its image. I would God saw what I saw, not through me, but on my behalf, not through me, but as my advocate, lucre and bullion, the orbs of Milton and Galilee, the lenses of Spinoza and Buchner, the sunsets of Borges, the suns of Stevie Wonder and Al-Ma'ari, Santa Lucia's grave escape. Beauty was in the eye of the beholder. What I saw, I did not know how to see. God Almighty, if there is a God, you must see it for me. I'm sorry to create such a solemn atmosphere. I'm about to get my period, and so I'm just connected to the suffering of the world, and I'm impatient with everything that doesn't acknowledge that. So that was the only real poem I was able to write as the genocide that is ongoing in Gaza as it began. And I am emotional today, so I'm sorry. I'm not always emotional, but thank you. We're supposed to stop saying sorry. Women poets are, there's a moratorium on it, actually. We have suffered enough. Okay, poem number 2. A partial history. It's so incredible to do this while like billionaire helicopters are flying over us. And I just feel like also how the lawn was like fluorescent green, like there was something fiercely elegiac about the green of the lawn, I felt personally. I'm talking, I said I wouldn't. Okay, so I was originally going to title this poem Cambridge Analytica, but it's called A Partial History. That's for the old people in the room, I guess, because we've been going through this all for quite a long time. A partial history. Long after I stopped participating, those images pursued me. I found myself turning from them even in the small light before dawn to meet the face of my own body, still taut and strong, almost too strong a house for so much shame, not mine alone, but also yours and my brother's, lots of people's. I know it was irrational, for whom I saw myself responsible and to whom I wished to remain hospitable. We had all been pursuing our own disintegration for so long by then that by the time the other side began to raise a more coherent complaint against us, we devolved with such ease and swiftness it seemed to alarm even our enemies. By then, many of us had succumbed to quivering idiocy, while others drew vitality for new careers as public scolds. Behind these middle management professors were at pains to display their faultless views, lest they too find censure, infamy, unemployment, and death at the hands of an enraged public, individuals in such pain and torment and such confusion hardly anyone dared ask more of them than that they not shoot, and in fact many of us willed them to shoot, and some of us were the shooters, and shoot we did, and got us square in the heart and in the face, which anyway we had been preparing these long years for bullets and explosions and whatever else. A vast, unpaid army of self-destructors, false comrades, impotent brainiacs who wish to appear to be kind. Everything we did for our government and the corporations that served it, we did for free, in exchange for the privilege of watching one another break down. Sometimes we were the ones doing the breaking. We would comfort one another afterward, congratulating each other on the fortitude it took to display such vulnerability. The demonstration of an infirmity followed by a self-justificatory recuperation of our own means and our own ends, in short, of ourselves and our respect for ourselves. This amounted to the dominant rhetoric of the age, which some called sharing, which partook of modes of oratory and of polemic, of intimate journals and of statements from on high, issued by public figures whom, at one time or another, we all mistook ourselves for. Anyway, it wasn't working. None of it was working. Not our ostentation, and not the uses we put our suffering to, the guilt and schadenfreude-based attention we extracted from our friends and followers, and even the passing sensation of true sincerity, of actual truth, quickly emulsified into the great and the terrible metastasizing whole, to the point it began to seem wisest to publish only within the confines of our own flesh. But our interiors had their biometrics too, and their functions not only of stardust, the universe as we now were prone to addressing the Godhead, but also of every mean and median of the self-same vicious culture that drove us to retreat into the jail of our own bones and the cramped confines of our swollen veins and ducts in the first place. Our skin was the same wall they talked about on the news, and our hearts were the bombs whose threat never withdrew. Images could drop from above like the pendulum in the pit and the pendulum, or killer drones to shatter the face of our lover into contemporaneous pasts, futures, celebrities, and other lovers, all of whom our attention paid equally in confusion and longing, and a fleeting sense like passing ghosts of a barely remarked upon catastrophe that was over both before and after it was too late. We were ancient creatures, built for love and war. Everything said so, and we could not face how abstract it was all becoming, because it was also all the opposite of abstract. It was our flesh, our mother's bloodied forehead on the floor of Penn Station, and wherever we hid our face amid a crowd of stars, for example, as Yeats once put it. And for stars, insert celebrities or astrology here, your choice. And even when we closed our eyes, all this was all we looked at. Every day, all day, it was all we could see. We were lost in a language of images. It was growing difficult to speak, yet talk was everywhere. Some of us still sought to dominate one another intellectually, others physically, still others psychically, or some of all of the above, everything seeming to congeal into bad versions of sports by other means. And sports by that time was the only metaphor left that could acceptably be applied to anything. The images gave us no rest, yet failed over and over, despite the immensity of their realism to describe the world as we really knew it, and worse, as it knew us. I am so having the urge to say sorry. It's a very strong urge. Okay, 5 minutes. Maybe we'll just talk for these 5 minutes. How's everybody doing? You're like, no. The sun has set. The sun has set upon this day. This is a poem called Eye of Death. It takes place in a casino. Eye of Death. Me and Amanda went to see David Blaine the night of the Scorpio eclipse. He held his breath for over 10 minutes in an orb of water. I remember his daughter doing a dance. Then we walked soft through the casino, BBLs and tiny dresses, the lull of slots and AC. There's a feeling of safety in there, you know? And a powerful idea America hates, that there's dignity in pleasure. Copious, good quality intelligence spent working out the right way to make even me feel happy. Floating through the crowd on the unnerving feats of David Blaine. You guys know who David Blaine is, right? Okay. We found our bodies drawn toward an almost serpentine cerebral energy. You could feel it yards away before you saw them, a table of men poring over their cards like nuclear physicists on deadline. Strange electric brain power physically stimulating, the asp uncoiled from its tree inside me, drawing us from the pink lights of the money machines to the brain's halogen white intensity. When a man dressed impeccably in gray looked up from his cards and stared at me long and hard. A lock of combed hair dropped over his brow. He held my gaze till I couldn't take it anymore and dropped my eyes. Amanda gripped my arm. Wait, were we already walking arm in arm? She, the beautiful one, steadied me. Did that really just happen? I said. It really did, she said. Give me a second. I need to catch my breath, I said, steering us cowardly just slightly out of the guy's sight line. I think I understand Dante now, I said, and also Beatrice. Did you know Petrarch's Laura was the great-grandmother of the Marquis de Sade? This is the kind of conversation I make when I'm stalling. What if one look is all you get? Century to century. Only one poker room in this whole giant casino. This, the era of the starved polar bear and the skinny lion, predators in a growing wasteland devoid of prey. The most famous game, font of metaphor, relegated to the back of the hall and only a few tables and most of them empty. Gorgonic eye fucking with me. He shocked me back into the ancient world, saw me back into poetry.
Let's give it up for Ariana Reines, everyone. Ariana! That was incredible. All right. Before I introduce our musical act, is it all right if I kick some poems for you all? All right. This is my book. It's called A Rabbit in Search of a Rolex. It took me 3 decades to put a book together. So it just took a pandemic for me to realize, Reggie, you're overthinking. Just put the book together. So this book is a collection of short poems. The poems are no longer than 5 sentences. There's a meditation, a topic. It could be hammock. It could be metformin. It could be a Langston Hughes. Whatever was percolating for the day. And then I would do a little story on that object. So this is called Charcuterie Board. A boar's head appears on a plate. Flying piglets descend upon the boar and take it towards the sun, piercing the horizon. Stanley Tucci asks, "Do you know these piglets?" I reply, "Just because I'm Filipino doesn't mean I'm part of the piglet community." Tooth Fairy. The Tooth Fairy is wearing a bomber jacket and jeans. "Are you gay?" I ask him. "No," he says, "I'm a fairy." I offer to buy some teeth from him. For $1, I get a grab bag. "Those are my baby teeth," I tell him. "Then you can just have them," he says, and disappears. Croissant. I am a croissant in a rehab circle with other pastries. The blueberry muffin discloses their toasted lifestyle. I get triggered by the donut exposing its jelly filling. I have a crush on a churro. Last night, we knocked ourselves into a singular Cinnabon, rolling around in butter. Vampire. When I fly into an apartment, I become human. When I fly out of a window, I become a bat. I fall from a roof where the building is set aflame. When I land, Yoko Ono tells me I am a vampire with potential. Raven. A poet has died. I read it from the angle of moonbeams. Sinead O'Connor sings, "This passing shall hurt you severely." I'd like to learn of a poet's death from ravens delivering me tea cakes and champagne. I see the poet's face behind me in the bathroom mirror. How many poems will it cost to bring you back? Thank you. I got two short ones here. Genderqueer. We are solar beams. Oh, by the way, the last two poems in this book, I had a total of like 49 poems, and I thought that was bad luck, so I wanted to make it 50, and I didn't know what else to write, so I took the last poem and I split it in two. So this is called Genderqueer, followed by Multiverse. Genderqueer. We are solar beams giving sheen and lusciousness to all we touch. The locks of my black hair, festooned with mandavilla, cascade through the cosmos. Cattails pop,